I was underpaid, stressed, and most especially, I was depressed in my previous role or in my previous career path. If this sounds like you, then please continue watching, because in this video, I'm going to be giving you all the steps and all the tips and tricks that I used to switch from a healthcare background, laboratory background. I studied molecular microbiology, and now I work in corporate communications. In this video, I'm going to be giving you the step-by-step process to pivoting career paths, and I feel that this can work for any new career that you want to go into, even if you're not from like a healthcare background to a marketing background. It doesn't matter. These tips are going to help you for any type of pivot career-wise that you want to make. So let's get into it. The first step that I'll say is that you need to write the pros and cons of the current career path that you are currently on. So for example, I was in healthcare. I used to work in the lab. I studied microbiology for my undergraduate, and for my master's, I studied molecular microbiology. If I'm being honest, I already knew from like working in Nigeria. If you don't know, I moved from Nigeria to the UK. I did not always live in this country. When I was in Nigeria, I had work experience for like working in the labs, and it was enjoyable, but it was very stressful. And in my mind, I just thought, okay, it's just because of the way like the Nigerian system is. It's just because of the way like the hospitals we have are. So if I come abroad, the hospitals are a lot more like posh, you know, hospitals will be a better environment here. With that being said, this is not to say that the hospitals here, like, or at least the hospitals I've had experience in, are not like more equipped or, you know, posh or, you know, fun or whatever it is. They are nicer hospitals, but it is still the same grind. Like, it's literally still the same thing. Changing countries or changing places did not change what lab work is. Lab work is stressful, as is any job, to be honest. Any job is stressful, but particularly lab work is not. It's not for me. That's what I'll say. So the pros and cons, I'll say, it does not have to be anything serious. I know you're thinking now, oh, pros and cons, you start writing something so deep. Personally, I'll say a good example is that one of the cons that I wrote was like, I have to wear a lab coat every single day, versus a pro for like the new place I work is like, I can wear anything I want. I can be fashionable. I can do anything I want. And as insignificant as this may seem, I find that dressing up to go to work, or like looking my best every single day, or looking the way I like every single day to go to work, does a lot for like my mental health. It makes me like feel good, because if you wake up in the morning, I can express myself. I can dress how I want. Of course, as you're going to the lab, you can dress how you want, but then you're still going to cover it up with a lab coat. This is just an example of a pros and cons. So don't overthink it. Just create a pros and cons list for the career path that you're currently in, and then create a pros and cons list for the career path that you want to go into. Okay, something I need to say is that you can be a bit like not jaded, but you may be thinking in fairy tales in terms of like the career path you want to go into. But I want you to genuinely do your research. Go on LinkedIn and find people that are in these career paths. Send a message to a lot of them, people you think that may reply you, and then ask them, what do you like about working in this career? What do you hate about working in this career? I find that people are more willing to actually answer us and help us than we think. You just need to ask. Just be bold, ask people questions before you start switching to somewhere before you go from frying pan to fire. Do you get what I mean? The second point I have is that you need to be willing to do unpaid work for the career path that you're trying to go into. The truth is that I did a lot of unpaid work. I'll not even say like unpaid. I'll say very low compensation, which can also equate to unpaid work, if I'm being honest. Like, sometimes the compensation may not be given. The compensation may not be given what it needs to give, but because you're growing, you're literally working from the ground up, you need to be able to just accept that. So what this means is that you may have like 2 jobs at a time, and if you're really serious about the grind, you're going to do it. When I was switching career paths, I had 2 jobs. There was a time when like my 2 career paths, like, what's the English, like, they overlapped. So I was still working in the lab, and I was trying to get into like communications marketing, and I started like interning and temping at a marketing place while I was still full-timing. So 7 days a week, my weekends, I'll give it to like my passion or the career that I wanted to go into, and then the other 5 days of the week I'll be like in my microbiology, because that was what was paying the bills. The third tip I'll say is that you need to be willing to put yourself out there. you can't be shy. You can't be shy if you're trying to like move career paths. You have to open your mouth. You have to use your words. You have to ask questions. You have to be willing to like go for networking events. If you don't have the money to go for physical networking events, you have to go for like online ones, or sign up for like the ones that are online. I'll give you an example. So in the place that I was interning before, or in the place that I was temping, and I told you guys that there was a time that my two career paths overlapped, right? So in the place that I was temping, I convinced my boss that, there's a marketing conference going on, and I think that is going to benefit us if we go, and I ended up going. Bear in mind, yes, it was going to benefit the company, the knowledge that I'll gain from that conference, but most importantly, it was going to benefit me. Yes, it was going to benefit me, and I have zero regrets, because in that place, like, I met a lot of people. I met random people that like had done things, and I was just asking questions. I definitely still had my company in mind, like front and center, looking for things that may make my company better, or may make my job better, and may help our marketing like efforts in my company. But personally, it gave me a lot of LinkedIn connections, that particular conference, and I will always recommend, like, you can't be quiet. Like, nobody is going to advocate for you if you don't advocate for yourself. The next tip that I have is that you need to be tenacious about it. You're going to get a lot of regrets. I cannot even begin to explain the amount of like explanations that I had to give when people said, oh, why do you want to pivot? Oh, you seem to work in this one. Why do you want to pivot? Like, you need to have your like elevator pitch ready for like why you want to pivot. A good example of like a pivoting line or elevator pitch that I had was, before I even explain the elevator pitch that I had, I want to briefly explain that because I did microbiology, and because I was trying to go into marketing, a lot of the recruiters and a lot of the companies that were reaching out to me were companies that wanted like marketing, but with an experience in healthcare. So this had to do with a lot of like biotech companies, because a lot of the hospitals, companies, medical companies, they need marketers as well. So it was a good intersection for me. And so I was almost boxing myself in saying that, oh, this is the type of work that I will do, because, I have marketing experience and I also have health experience. So I was trying to box myself in, but I ended up not doing that, which I thank God. And this is a whole other story on the side that I may share with you guys in the future. So a good pitch that I would always give to these recruiters that want me to like be like a healthcare marketer, I'll say, because that was what the role was called, like healthcare marketing, was I'll say things like, oh yes, my interest in switching to marketing and communications for healthcare as opposed to core healthcare started when I interned in my third year of university at a laboratory, and I worked with an independent lab that used to contract lab jobs from like hospitals, which is true. I really did that. I worked there, but then in that experience, my boss wanted to start importing lab equipment and not just outsourcing, not just being the person that hospitals outsource lab tests to. He wanted to expand his business by importing lab equipment, and I was the one that was at the forefront of the negotiations with the Chinese company. Personally, I don't know why he entrusted me with this role, but it was something that I was really grateful for, and I took it in my stride, and I started like the negotiation process. I made the business plan, and I started speaking with like the group in China that were going to give us these equipment. Because we already had like a network of hospitals that trusted us to do their tests, we were able to like convince the Chinese organization that we could sell to these people and we could supply to these people. And that was what piqued my interest in the business side of the health marketing. And I started digging deeper, and I then decided that, wow, there's something else here. And I started like doing a whole lot of other things on the side for my boss. And then I would then add any other thing that I have seen that the recruiter has added in the list of what the new company wants, and I'll just sprinkle it there and say, oh, for example, let's say that they've sprinkled in that they want you to do something on the website. I'll say that, oh, so for the website that we had in that organization, I got interested in it and started like giving suggestions for things we can add to the website, a little razzle dazzle. I'm not saying you should lie, but I'm saying you should embellish, because most of the time when you tell lies on your CV and you can't even back it up, it shows, and people know when you have lied. Do you get what I mean? So yeah, the next tip I have is to keep your mouth shut. Yes, like I don't know how to explain this, but honestly, not everybody will understand your vision. I remember then, like, I wanted so bad for people to just understand why I wanted to switch career paths. People were like, is anything wrong with you? Like, this is what is going to give you, this is what's going to put food on your table, this is what you studied in university, you've wasted all these school fees on this. But I knew what I wanted, and I genuinely did not need to be telling other people, because it just made me depressed for no reason. So please just keep your mouth shut. Don't tell a lot of people. You can tell a few trusted friends or people that can understand your vision and mission, but don't go about like sharing it, because it's not going to help you. That is what I will say. The final thing I'll say is that you need to work with recruiters. Let me tell you guys, you need to work with, till today, I have recruiters sending me emails, DMing me on LinkedIn, telling me, oh, I have this role available, I have this one available. You need to work with recruiters. That's the fastest shortcut I'll say to switching to any career path. Make sure you've done the CV. Make sure you've like ticked all the steps, like switching your CV, doing the networking events, meeting people, asking questions. Most especially, you need to look for recruiters in that industry that you're trying to switch to. In that particular industry, look for recruiters there and connect with all of them on LinkedIn. Message all of them. You may message 10 people and 10 of them will not respond to you. Message another 10. One person will get back to you and they will tell you, maybe they'll give you information that will be helpful to you. So message recruiters. Recruiters held me down. A lot of the interviews, I remember one interview that I did that I actually got the job, I'll say, but then I didn't want the salary that the compensation that they were offering. I didn't want it, and it was even a far place. But that interview, oh my God, that interview, it was difficult. It was a difficult interview. It was like 2 hours long. But then we already started talking about visas and things, and they were willing to do all these things for me, but the compensation was not good for the sacrifice of like the location where the place would be. I cried so much because I was like, am I ever going to make it in this new industry? And then eventually I finally got somewhere. So just be tenacious, just connect with recruiters and follow all the steps that I've said. It doesn't matter what industry is going to work out for you. Even I'll say recruiters for the new industry that you want to go in, but somewhere like lab, you need to figure out what the like recruiter version of a lab job would be. And a recruiter version of a lab job would be like an agency. So you need to find out what is the, for a lack of better word, what is the recruiter for the industry that I'm trying to go into. So like for like marketing, for like tech sales, for like some IT jobs, you need actual recruiters. Then for like hospital work, care, like healthcare, and more like more healthcare based things, I'll say it's agencies that are like the recruiters, because agencies will like help you become like locum staff in hospitals easily. So depending on which industry you want to go into, you need to find what's the entry point, like the easiest barrier to entry for that industry, if that makes sense. This is like a brief summary of everything I did and what I think would help you pivot careers. And I definitely think that you should go for what you want. Always bet on yourself. Always bet on yourself. Nobody is going to bet on yourself more than you bet on yourself. Thank you so much for watching this video. If it helped you, then please leave a comment below. And if you want to see more videos like this, check out this playlist here. You may find it very helpful. Thank you so much for